Yo, it's time to tune in to Joey's To Catch a Predator channel. He's gonna give you the backstory. He's gonna show you where they are today. This is Seizure Machine. Let's go.
Since 2015, Joey's TCAP. We got letters from predators. Motherfucker, take a seat. I light a bloodstained cigarette. Predator or predators, protector of...
As far as pro wrestling in the early 2000s go, there were not many people who were riding higher than Rob Feinstein. He was able to corner the market of shoot interviews in the early days and even started his own promotion that was beloved by wrestling fans who needed something in the wake of the WWE buying their competition. The guy really was making all of the right moves to become a major player for years to come in the wrestling world, except one. And if you bring that one move up, Rob Feinstein is going to try to get it taken down from the internet. Feinstein began as just a fan like any other, except he had enough money to get to any event he wanted to. He was a huge fan of the National Wrestling Alliance, and that would kickstart his tenure of filming wrestling events and the beginnings of what would become his media empire under RF Video.
So when I was around 16 and 17 and I got my driver's license, promoters around here like Dennis Caroluzzo and Joe Goodhart would run indie shows in South Philadelphia and Woodbury, New Jersey, all around the tri-state area. So I was big into like the indie scene, whether I was going to Joe Goodhart shows or Dennis Caroluzzo shows. I have a video camera and I started filming shows probably when I was like 16 and 17, and I would give Dennis like $100. And then I started, tape trading. And I would get different tapes from Memphis and Florida and Continental. So I created my wrestling, catalog from way back in the day, like probably 1986, 87 is when I really started collecting the VHS tapes. And through Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer, he had the readers page back then. I started, tape trading, and I started building up my catalog, and I started advertising on the readers page, and I started getting a little following. So probably around 1987, 1988 is when I really started filming the indie shows for Dennis and even Joe Goodhart and stuff. And that's how I got my foot in the door, so to speak, when I was getting backstage at a young age, at like 16. And Ricky Morton brought me backstage at NWA back in like 86. Yeah, probably 1986 for the first time. So that's how I got, into the, I guess, friendly with the guys, driving guys to the hotel. I would find out where they stayed and I would mark out. And I got friendly with a lot of the NWA guys before I got friendly with the WWF guys. So it's crazy because if you look at all the podcasts, that are going on today, like Steve Austin's podcast and anybody else's, I still say we pioneered all that. RF Video did all that stuff. We laid the groundwork for everybody to be able to do podcasts 20 years later. So my idea came from Wade Keller's Pro Wrestling Torch Talk. I don't know if you ever got the torch back in the day. So yes. Wade would do interviews with guys, and it was just, he would type up the interviews and you couldn't hear or listen to it. And I got the idea. I was like, well, I'm going to start doing interviews on video. So my first interviews were pretty much with ECW guys because that's who I knew. That's who I was close to. I think I did Sandman, maybe, or Bill Alfonso for the first one ever. I actually don't remember who the first one was with, but it was ECW guys. I don't know if it was New Jack. I heard Tommy Rich. Some people are saying it was Tommy Rich. But yeah, so I pretty much got the idea from Wade Keller's Torch. And then it just skyrocketed after the first couple. I was like, you know, if I can do ECW guys, I'm going to go after guys that are retired or legends, or especially when guys leave the WWF or whatever major company they were with. We were pretty much the first guys to get interviews with them, especially back in the day. It was only us. It was before any of the other companies were around doing anything. So, and then, it took off, and I never thought it would take off the way it did, but it was pretty much building RF video. That and the ECW really helped our company grow.
Feinstein used his foot in the door at ECW to start up RF video and continued to use his connections in the wrestling world to his advantage for many years. It's safe to say that most wrestling fans have seen an interview with this logo in the background. It was impossible to avoid in the early days of YouTube. He was the guy who did all of the shoot interviews, and that was just how it was at the time.
About everybody has heard of the WWE, the World Wrestling Entertainment. It started out small back in the 1960s as the WWF. It became a wrestling monopoly by the 1990s, but now a tiny wrestling franchise has sprung up right here in Philadelphia, and it intends to give the WWE a run for its money. Gerald Colpat is here to tell us more about the Ring of Honor.
That's right, Joyce, the Ring of Honor.
After ECW was gone, Feinstein and some friends got the idea up to start their own promotion. This promotion captivated a lot of the wrestling world at the time and became quite popular very quickly. Ring of Honor was in the right place at the right time to really capture the wrestling audience in Philadelphia, who were still reeling from the loss of ECW.
But they've been in line since 4.
ROH! ROH! Ring of Honor is wrestling. This is what wrestling is supposed to be. It's the best talent in the United States. I don't care what Vince McMahon tells you.
Inside, it's no Spectrum or Wachovia. Home base is the Murphy Rec Center, rented for the night. It's approaching 100 degrees, but the fans don't care, as long as the action is hotter than they are.
My friends and I drive 5 hours every month to come up here to watch the greatest wrestling show we have ever seen, and it's Ring of Honor. So who cares if it's 100 degrees in here? Who cares if it's 20 degrees in here? The action makes it worthwhile, and that's why it's worth suffering to come see this.
They're eager to suffer, they say, because ROH is everything WWE is not. Unclotted, unsanitized, homegrown, and manned by those who have not yet been McMahon. Mania, but not WrestleMania.
We wanted to bring back wrestling as a sport, not as entertainment. And we came up with the idea around Christmas time to start our own wrestling promotion that didn't insult wrestling fans' intelligence.
And for the past 2 years, Ring of Honor has steadily built its base, collecting the $18 at the door, marketing T-shirts and videos, and earning fans throughout the nation and the world, all without an hour of TV time or the kind of money that makes the purse worth the pain.
Some guys get $25, some guys get $700, some guys get $1,500. It all depends on where you are on the card, how long you've been in the ring. So it's either you're making a name for yourself and you're going up, or you're already been up and now you're going down.
Ring of Honor was a gateway for many to get further in the industry, and if not for it, we may not have got to know names like Trent Acid before it was too late, or not seen the rise of so many of the current day stars. It was close to becoming a very big deal in the wrestling world, and Rob Feinstein was enjoying the spoils of it all. Feinstein was on top of the wrestling world until one fateful day in 2004, it all came to a very abrupt and dramatic end. As Ring of Honor was gaining popularity, so was another form of entertainment. People had began to watch Chris Hansen's stings on Dateline in huge numbers, and he worked with a group called Perverted Justice, who set up stings for people trying to meet up with minors. I'm sure you can see where this is going.
And remember this man? We originally thought his name was Timothy, another local man looking for a young girl. But he turned out to be this man, Robert Feinstein, a Langhorne businessman who promotes wrestling events. He has his own website with plenty of pictures of himself. We tried to catch up with him at his office and his home, but each time he saw us, he ran. And according to his chat log, he thought he was meeting a 14-year-old boy.
This sting, unlike future stings, was done by a news station in conjunction with the Perverted Justice team and had no oversight by the police. Feinstein would avoid the man that offers seats as well as the police on this day. If this was one of their later stings, Feinstein would have likely been arrested. Feinstein would be immediately called to step down from Ring of Honor, and after a lot of pushing from TNA Wrestling and their own roster, it would come to pass that Rob Feinstein would be ousted from the promotion he started.
So, this happened in 2004 while you were booking TNA. You were dealing with Ring of Honor at the time. How did the Rob Feinstein situation affect it?
Well, I didn't really deal with Rob Feinstein during that. I was in TNA at the same time, and I don't know if they had any kind of a plans to work together. I never heard of any at all. But Feinstein, he kind of cooked his goose. He's still around, and but he had a guy buy the company. He ended up buying Ring of Honor, and he actually worked, I think, the first TV deal they had. So when he got in that trouble that he got in, I think that cooked his goose in the wrestling business, because I don't think anybody wanted anything to do with it. I'm not sure of that.
Well, he was doing interviews for a long time afterwards, and RF Video, a lot of people accepted his money.
Yeah.
Feinstein would deny any and all allegations, going as far as to do an interview where he would sit down and give his side of the story in 2004 on the Bagpipe Report. Most lawyers or people with a single wrinkle in their brain would realize this was a bad plan, but not Mr. Feinstein.
The situation earlier this year. What happened, of course, is that there was a situation where there was a group of guys who, this was not an official, this was not a police action, this was not a legal situation. This is where pretty much an outlaw group who go around, they want to catch people who are into child pornography, that area. They went around unofficially off the record and came up with evidence, video footage that aired on television to a local affiliate of you going up to a house where they say that you expected to find a young child inside.
Well, here's the details. This is exactly what happened, and it had nothing to do with child pornography or anything like that. And they weren't the guys that actually caught me on video either. Here's the real story. This is exactly what happened. It was February 28th. I was in an adult chat room for adults on AOL. Had nothing to do with myself being in children's chat rooms. I was not on the internet stalking little kids or anything like this. I was in AOL, and I was in an adult chat room. I was approached by somebody. The person's profile, I don't know if you guys are familiar with AOL, where you can check somebody's profile.
We are.
Well, this person's profile, said a college student, had a bunch of information. I don't know if you guys know about profiles where you can click on the link and you can see pictures of the person. This person had 3 pictures of themselves. They were not naked or anything like that, and it was clear as day that it was an adult. It was not a child whatsoever. And in fact, a very well-known wrestling journalist over here in the United States, along with a lot of other people when the story first broke, saw the pictures, and he will tell you that it was never a 14-year-old person. It was a college person. I got into a conversation with the person online over, I believe it was a 2-day period. Had a lot of similar interests and stuff like that. And I talked to him for the first day. Everything was fine. He told me a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff that he was telling me seemed shady, but I related to a lot of his problems that he was going through. I talked to him the next day. When I talked to him the next day, he wanted to meet me. I was very, hesitant to meet him. And I talked to him on the phone a couple times. When I talked to this person on the phone, it was clear as day that it was an adult. It would be like me talking to you right now. You can tell from the person's voice, very mature. Had a conversation with them. Even on the computer, very mature. And it was never, I don't know if you guys read the chat transcript, but I never, ever initiated any sexual talk at all. I was not a pervert. There was this person that was trying to lure me in and get me to discuss a bunch of stuff that, I'm not even into. So basically what happened, I told the person, before I even went up to go meet, I said, if we hang out, I am not having sex. I said, I'm not into that at all. I am coming up there to be your friend. And I said, it is your choice if you want me to come up there.
Did you
I said,
did you say this in chat, or did you say this on the phone?
What's that?
Did you say this, what you say
That's
now?
in the transcript. You can read it. It's on their website. I said absolutely no sex. I said, I'm coming up to be your friend. And, I said, in fact, when I talked to him on the phone, I was bringing another friend of mine. There's a mall by where this person lives. We were all going to go hang out or do whatever. There was no conversations, regarding sex. So the person's like, all right, come up. So I go up to the house, and when I get to the door, it was in a very nice residential neighborhood. Just when I got to the house, things didn't seem right. The house looked abandoned. As it turns out, I go to the front door and I knock on the door. I'm telling you, as soon as I knock on the door, there's a camera shoved in my face with a reporter. Basically, the reporter comes and says to me, "Are you Timmy?" And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Timmy, your name's Timmy." He goes, "Why are you here to have sex with two 14-year-old girls?" At that moment, I was like, all right, I was just set up by NBC News, and I had nothing to say because I didn't know if it was live TV. So I ran to my car and I drove off. There's a website called Corruptus. I think it's corrupted/justice.com, or it might be corrupted-justice.com. They'll tell you all about the practices of perverted justice. They are known to add things to the transcripts. They lie. Basically, this website, Perverted Justice, is working with NBC that week. It was sweeps weeks here in Philadelphia, and they were trying to get ratings. What happened is when I was talking to these people on the computer, I was talking to a guy from Perverted Justice. Everything I was saying, he was, I guess, broadcasting it back to the NBC people who were waiting in this house. They rented out a house for the weekend in this neighborhood, and what they did is they lured potential predators or pedophiles, whatever you want to call them. They would get into conversations with them and lure them to this house. And it wasn't Perverted Justice that filmed me. It was the NBC. And they basically set me up, and, I took the bait, obviously, and I went to the house, and that's what happened.
So you can say on the record that you have never been involved with minors in this way that people
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I never for a second thought it was a child. Never for, and there was never a child. It was an adult that I was talking to on the phone. It was an adult's pictures. The chat transcript, is filled with lies, and there's so much stuff in that chat transcript that is just bullshit.
Did they add to your side of the chat?
What do you mean?
Did they add things in that you didn't?
Oh yeah. And that's what's being worked on. They added also sidebar comments. Like they shed me in a wrong light. Of course, they bolded certain things that they claimed that I said, and of course they never bolded the part of the conversation where I said no sex. I'm just going to be your friend. So they played around with the chat, and I get have a chat with you, and I get add stuff. It's very easy to do.
If they set you up and if they added things to this chat transcript, have you considered taking them to court for defamation of character?
I am. I'm working on all of this right now with a lawyer. In fact, if you check out that website that I told you about, corruptedjustice.com, as we speak, there are 9 lawyers from 9 other people that there's going to be a joint action lawsuit against Perverted Justice. There's a lot of people going to be involved. They have ruined a lot of people's lives, a lot of innocent people's lives. Now, a lot of people ask me if, I think what they're doing is a good idea, and, it is, but they're going about it the wrong way, and they're harming a lot of innocent people that are not pedophiles or perverts. I've went on their website, and I've read some of the conversations with some of the other people that they've done this to, and, those people deserve to get what they got. But at the same time, the way this website Perverted Justice goes about it is entirely wrong. They entrap you, they lie to you, and they do a lot of stuff that they shouldn't be doing.
Well, I certainly appreciate you coming forward with your side of the story here on the Bagpipe Report. I'm sure that this will be met much like your original incrimination with a lot of discussion online and through wrestling fans.
The interview was not met with much discussion, and few who heard it changed their minds. Feinstein's excuses sounded like every other person who was ever caught on the show, and it just didn't sway public opinion in a substantial way. He would continue to sell his shoot interviews, but given the top stars of Ring of Honor, including Low Key and Christopher Daniels, among others, refused to work until Feinstein was gone, he had lost any hold on Ring of Honor. TNA Wrestling was allegedly concerned with their Fox Sports deal getting pulled from their wrestlers' working dates for a company owned by someone caught in a sting, so they told talent they couldn't work both shows and essentially cut the roster in half for Ring of Honor overnight. Since his interview and story he tells wasn't checking out, Feinstein had a new play he decided to make, and this play would be the one he kept in rotation for the next 20 years. He would simply report and flag down anyone who discussed it. This channel and countless others on the platform have been flagged by Feinstein, trying to cover up what happened on this day in 2004. One such channel has a very special story, and it took place only a few weeks ago.
Why hello Grapple Vision viewers, my name is John. You may or may not know me better under the name of KLA Clips. In today's video, I am going to be talking to you guys about the unfortunate interactions I have had recently with one Rob Feinstein. We're going to be talking about the video that I made about him back in August, his subsequent reaction to it, and all of the tomfoolery that ensued following. So if you aren't already, take a seat, relax, grab a Jaholic or not if you are of age, and if you're not of age, do not inform Rob Feinstein of this. With that being said, let's get into the story. It starts on August 26, 2024. I made a video about Rob Feinstein titled "The Man Who Nearly Destroyed Pro Wrestling." Now, Feinstein is obviously one of the founders of Ring of Honor, along with Gabe Sapolsky and Doug Gentry, and is the founder and owner of RF Video Distribution. I talked about many things in this video, but the main thing that I really focused on in this video was an incident that took place in 2004 where Feinstein had been caught meeting up with someone who he believed to be 14 years old from an AOL chat room to engage in sexual activity. It luckily was not a 14-year-old, and it was a sting operation conducted by the Perverted Justice group, who have worked with NBC and To Catch a Predator and Dateline multiple times. They worked together in this instance with an NBC affiliate in Philadelphia to try to catch predators in the local area. Feinstein, when he found out that this was indeed not a 14-year-old and was a grown man or woman, decided to run back to his car, and film crew would chase him in his pursuit back to his vehicle. Like I said, I talked about other things, but I don't really find it relevant at this point in time. So I uploaded the video on August 26th. The video was up for about a week, and it did really well for my standards. It achieved around 40,000 views in the first week, and again, I think it was going to do really well. About 8 days after the video got put up on YouTube, I was streaming on Twitch, like I usually do, and as I was ending my stream, I checked my email. And I got an email from YouTube. Your video has been struck down. And it was The Man Who Nearly Destroyed Pro Wrestling, and it was struck down by Rob Feinstein, and it was a copyright strike. Now, with YouTube, there are two different strikes that you can file: a community guideline strike or a copyright strike. A community guideline strike is not anything that's against fair use, but it's something that's against any of YouTube's terms of service. Now, my video followed YouTube's terms of service. I feel like there was nothing gruesome, there was nothing disgusting, there was nothing illegal in those videos. So it was filed as a copyright strike by Feinstein. And Feinstein claimed to have owned every single bit of footage in that video, even though I included pictures and videos from Ring of Honor, from AEW, from WWE, from TNA. I included from fans honestly across the internet. I included many different forms of media, and Feinstein owned none of them. I sent him an email shortly after I discovered the strike saying, "Hey Rob, we are grown men. I would like to resolve this. We both know that this is fraudulent. Please contact me at your earliest convenience so we can resolve this like adults." I said something along the lines of that, and then I filed a manual complaint right after to try to get the video reinstated. I hear nothing from Feinstein from my email for weeks. And honestly, I never got an email back from Feinstein. Around September 16th, September 17th, I decided to check my Instagram, which is kind of rare because I check my Instagram maybe twice a month. I look through my hidden requests, and I see I have a couple from people who do not follow me, and I do not follow them. But one of them was from the individual in question, Mr. Robert Feinstein. On September 2nd, 2024, at 1:37 p.m., he said the following: "Highly suggest you remove your YouTube video that you posted. Just saw it and handed it over to my lawyers. Your exposure for a lawsuit is there. You have no clue what you're talking about and just reporting lies and misinformation that's not true. I will go after you for damages. I did this already to another guy and won. If you want to defend yourself and spend money in doing so, I will go after you and make you pay my legal fees as well. Just a warning and asking you to remove that slanderous piece." And then September 3rd, 2024 at 11:52 a.m. Eastern Standard, this was around 8 hours after my video got taken down. "You expected me to just let you post a video about myself and not defend myself? Your video is all lies, first of all. Your facts are all wrong, and you are not a real journalist. Do you even know the real story? I highly doubt it." I did not reply to these DMs because I did not want to give him what he wanted, attention, because that is something that Rob has sought for years and years and years. In that video that I talked about before, I'm not going to break down every single part of this, but I do want to talk about a couple of things. One, he said my facts were all wrong, and he said I'm not a real journalist. And I'm sorry that he feels that way, because I am not a journalist. I am not a journalist at all. I am a YouTuber. I am a wrestling fan. I am not at all a journalist. If he thought like I wrote for Fightful or something, I'm sorry that he feels that way. But no, I make YouTube videos about pro wrestling. He talked about how my exposure for a lawsuit is there. Well, Rob, if you do end up watching this video, let's talk about the exposure of a lawsuit with you filing a false copyright strike, which, by the way, is illegal. In the United States, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, or DMCA for short, includes provisions that make it illegal to knowingly make false claims of copyright infringement. According to 17 U.S.C. Section 512F, any person who knowingly materially misrepresents that material or activity is infringing may be liable for damages, including costs and attorney fees incurred by the alleged infringer or by the service provider. So if we're going to talk about exposing ourselves for lawsuits, Rob, let's talk about that. But you're not going to want to talk about that because you're a coward. The video would eventually be reinstated by YouTube, as they agreed that there was nothing wrong with it, and also Rob was full of shit, pardon my French, for not filing a court appeal to keep my video away. So with YouTube, they have a thing where if you file an appeal to get your video back up, the claimant has about 10 business days to show proof that they filed a court appeal to get the video taken down. And Rob did not do that. So these claims that Rob has a lawyer or Rob has had all this action taken place, I personally believe it is full of shit. I believe Rob has stricken down multiple videos talking about him. Many videos. There's hardly any on the internet right now talking about Rob Feinstein or any of his past transgressions. However, I don't believe that there's actual legal representation with him. You want to know why I think this? Rob, I truly believe, has done this many, many times. Again, hardly any videos on the internet. I think these people were too scared. They did not want to take any risks with their channel, so they thought, okay, I'll take the L. I'll lose the video. I don't want to go to court. I do not want to lose all my money, blah, blah, blah. There is never, in my personal opinion, I don't think anyone has ever called him out on his shit. And that is what I am doing right now. I do not think Rob Feinstein has filed legal claims against YouTube videos and won. I think he's a fucking liar, respectfully. I think Rob Feinstein is a fraud. I think he's a crook. If his alleged crimes are true, then he is a disgusting individual, and I truly believe that he belongs behind bars. Of course, if that has happened, I am not claiming that that happened, but if it is true, that is exactly what I believe needs to happen to Rob Feinstein. He needs to go under the jail. And I believe that genuinely. But yeah, the video's up if anyone would like to take a look at it. I don't know if it'll be linked in the description or whatever, but it's out on the internet. And I've uploaded it to other websites such as Rumble, so even if it does get taken down on YouTube again, the video will continue to live on throughout the internet. That's about it though from me. Again, shout out to Grapple Vision for making the video. I really do appreciate it. I hope that more people get the word out about this, and I hope that more people will call Rob Feinstein out, because I'm letting everyone know right now, this is not the end of my battle with Rob Feinstein, unfortunately. I will not stop until this man is out of professional wrestling. I do believe he is toxic. I do believe he is, again, if what he did is true, I would say evil is the perfect word to describe him, but again, I'm not going to say with certainty that this indeed did or did not happen for legal purposes, of course. But yeah, that's about it for me. Again, thank you guys for watching the video. Subscribe to Grapple Vision. I'm out.
It's very likely that Rob Feinstein will attempt to take this video down. It's also likely he will try to flag many others down. Feinstein has abused the flagging system for over a decade on YouTube to avoid any accountability or people knowing of why he is avoided. As recent as this year, he was at SummerSlam and posing with some of the biggest stars in the company. At some point, Feinstein must be cut off from whatever clout he has and not be allowed to pull his shady and deplorable behavior. Support channels like KLA who take the risk to speak out with a very real threat of being flagged down, put on anything he says about the matter. Seriously, subscribe to KLA, and if even a fraction of the accusations against him are true, he is the exact kind of person we need to protect the business from. And if you are watching this yourself, Feinstein, don't worry. It's already mirrored on multiple websites.